after, and so far, we're not to. Excuse me. Aside from my cough, we haven't seen any reaction yet. Okay, look, I hate the guy, but if you're gonna Twitter post, at least make it translatable to English. No, we're kind of done with the boots on the ground thing, Zelensky. Like, straight up, I don't really care for you that much anyway, but, like, if we do anything to help, it's going to be like what we did in Iran, and I'm pretty sure... That's just put a stop to my spin. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that, a lot of people are done with the whole boots on the ground bullshit. Okay, as to why this disrupted me, what's missing from this fucking picture? This dummy is spraying soap water on a tire that's not on a rim with no air to put air pressure in. How are you supposed to find an air leak without... You have one gaping fucking air leak in the middle of the rubber, dummy.
Well, there's that.
And DC Drano is right. Trump did not declare war. He dropped some bombs and called for peace. Sounds a little bit bipolar when you put it that way, but it's what the situation required.
Maybe because, like you said, they're the bullies of the Middle East. You gotta do something to get their attention to make.
Well, it wasn't so much that. That's kind of there's always going to be a bully in the Middle East. If it's not going to be Iran, it's probably going to be Saudi Arabia next, or some shit like that, right? It was Afghanistan at one point, it was Iraq at another point, now it's fucking Iran, and now Iran has been defanged. Hell, who knows, maybe it'll be fucking Turkey or Israel or Jordan. The issue was not so much that there was a bully in the Middle East. That will never fucking change.
Well, no, I was just saying because bullies need something to get their attention.
The problem is that they were fucking developing nuclear weapons.
That too.
That was the big issue. That was the only issue the United States had. Everything else, taking out the subsequent terrorist operations in Iran, that was just icing on the cake. And that was literally just like on the way out the door, dropping a fucking napalm grenade in the fucking blender because fucking why not?
Got the hiccups.
Yeah, that was delicious steak, onions, sauteed onions, mushrooms, and French toast. And one egg.
Now, I know you don't like Nos, but would you like some to give you a little bit of energy boost?
Actually, this morning I will make an exception and I will drink the blue colored can of cough syrup.
It's not cough syrup, and you know it.
Tastes the same.
Fair point.
Difference is that don't make me feel all loopy in the head. That one gives me energy. That's the only difference.
Fair point. Fair point.
So. Yeah, no, absolutely. Blame Obama and Biden for the fact that Iran just got bombed to shit. They're the ones who funneled American taxpayer dollars to Iran in the first fucking place. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have even gotten to this point. So, you know. And like I was explaining to my fiance over here, if it wasn't for Bibi Netanyahu and his fucking predecessor, you know, neglecting their fucking job, we wouldn't be here in the first place. Everybody's gangsta until this guy starts missing pixels. Yeah, I never really thought about it. I never really thought about it, but yes, from a certain angle,
Oh, yeah.
the B-2 bomber kind of looks like the sky is starting to miss pixels. Like, if you were to level off this top part, you would swear that it was like a dead part of a TV screen.
Oh.
Apparently, that's part of that stealth coating that makes it impossible to fucking shoot down. Supposedly. I don't know, every time someone says the impossible word, then something happens, so I always add the qualifier supposedly. I mean, I'm sure to some degree it's possible. I'm just pretty sure that's a really high degree.
They're very low percentile. That's probably what they mean by impossible. They have such a low percentile that they don't consider it being getting
Dude.
down. Yeah.
I'm doing a thing here.
Get down, Magna.
Like, I love you, little buddy, but come on, man. To quote Joe Biden, weirdly, first thing in the morning.
Weird.
I think I've spent too much time covering politics and international bullshit.
I think you might be right.
Well, I'll tell you what, after this whole Iran thing, assuming nothing major in the Second Amendment happens, I'm probably gonna, like...
Excuse me. That was not nice.
Yeah. Well, of course he didn't inform the fucking Democrats.
Why would he?
Why? So they could turn around and leak it? Man, she really is not well. That is a video of someone with severe mental issues. Oh, Glenn, you fucking... Alright, that's enough. Just so you guys can kind of read what I'm about to fucking go off on. Glenn Greenwald is a fucking libtard. No, it's not whatever Israel wants, Israel gets. It's we had a mutual fucking interest and we did a fucking thing. Get the fuck over it, you fucking anti-Trump faggot. And I do believe in your case that's not actually slander because you, if I remember, well, I mean, it's not slander, but it's really mean to say, so I probably shouldn't have said it, but like... To rephrase what I was saying, you would be against Trump if he said every Thursday was ice cream day, you fucking asshat. That's what I meant. And by the way, that's kind of close to being the personality level, like depth-wise, of a pile of sticks too. So if we wanted to use the British idiom instead of the American slur, it would still be accurate. You have the personality of a pile of sticks, my dude. shallow, vapid, and virtually non-existent, with absolutely no critical thinking skills whatsoever. You'd probably lose to a 6-year-old at chess, and you'd probably actually be trying to win. You're free to your own opinion, even if it is wrong, and you're just being dumb. That being said, the current BB's kind of a fucking idiot. And like I said before, if they had done their job prior, we wouldn't have had to have gotten involved. Petey. Pete.
Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program, and none could until President Trump.
Correction, none
operation
would.
President Trump planned was bold, and it was brilliant, showing the world that American deterrence is back. When this president speaks, the world should listen, and the U.S. military, we can back it up. The most powerful military the world has ever known. No other country on planet Earth could have conducted the operation that the chairman has outlined. Found out in the first term, Iran found out when POTUS says 60 days that it seeks peace and negotiation, he means 60 days of peace and negotiation. Otherwise, that nuclear program, that nuclear capability will not exist. And
Yeah, in order to do that, you have to have
not
boats.
the previous administration. President Trump said, no news. He seeks peace.
Looking at you, Israel.
Take that path. By Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Signed, former President of the United States, Donald J. Iran would be smart to heed those words. We said it before. I'm going to give recognition to
Man.
phenomenal job. Staff, all of us, policy across the board. This was a joint effort across the Pentagon. I'm going to recognize the pilots, to those bombers, to those fighters, to those warriors. I want to recognize the sailors on those destroyers, in those subs, on those journeys. Every American involved in this operation was flawless. Our allies. This is a plan that months and weeks of positioning and preparation so that we can be ready. President of the United States. It involved misdirection and the highest of operational security. Our teams went in and out downtown Tehran, not Tehran, excuse me, of these nuclear sites, in and out and back without the world knowing at all. And that way it was historic. A strike that included the longest B-2 Spirit bomber mission since 2001 and the first operational deployment of the bomb. A massive ordnance plan. The mission demonstrated the level of joint and allied integration and the strength of our alliances. As President Trump
I'm gonna pause him for a minute. So yeah, when we say don't touch our fucking boats, don't touch our fucking boats.
created the United States not seen before, but let me be clear. We will act swiftly and decisively when our people, our partners, or our interests are threatened. Iran should be the President of the to our commander-in-chief. It's an honor to welcome last night and throughout our great American warriors on this successful operation. God bless our troops. God bless America. And we give glory to God for his providence. Ask for his protection. I turn it over now. Sheriff.
Wow.
Secretary, thanks for recognizing all of our folks out there doing our nation's work, and nice to see everybody on this early Sunday morning. Last night on the President's orders, U.S. Central Command, under the command of General Eric Kurilla, executed Operation Midnight Hammer, a deliberate and precise strike against 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. This was a complex and high-risk mission carried out with exceptional skill and discipline by our joint force. I want to thank every service member, planner, operator that made this mission possible. Their actions reflect the highest standards of the United States Armed Forces. This operation was designed to severely degrade Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure. It was planned and executed across multiple domains and theaters with coordination that reflects our ability to project power globally.
Yep.
Speed and precision at the time and place of our nation's choosing. This was a highly classified mission with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan. I'll refer you to the graphic on the side as I walk you through some of the operational details. At midnight Friday into Saturday morning, a large B-2 strike package comprised of bombers launched from the continental United States. As part of a plan to maintain tactical surprise, part of the package proceeded to the
Yeah, who do you think refines Canadian oil, stupid?
decoy.
Oh, I know.
Effort, known only to
I don't have a live call-in number
planners
yet.
The main strike package comprised of 2 Spirit bombers, each with
Not yet.
members, proceeded quietly to the
Haven't quite gotten big enough for that level of involvement. I might not even get one, really. They seem like more trouble than they're worth.
aircraft completed multiple
If you can't, like, text it in chat, you know?
over land. The B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communication. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night,
That being said, I'm pretty sure the commanding regime is fucked.
a U.S. submarine in the Central Command area of responsibility
Which is
more than
all that I fucking wanted, really.
planned attackers just
I don't give a shit about much else. I mean, I'm glad that they don't have fucking nukes. That mentally unstable old fuck didn't need any more power than he already had.
The U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys, as the 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front of the strike package at high altitude and high speed, sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface air destroyers. The strike package was supported by U.S. Strategic Command, U.S. Transportation Command, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Space Command, U.S. Space Force, and U.S. European Command. As the strike package approached Bordeaux and Natanz, the U.
Oh.
President and the Secretary being incredibly proud of the air crews, naval forces,
That's some
cyber
better audio
operators,
quality from this
planners,
guy.
and support teams and commanders who made this mission possible. It is their skill, discipline, and teamwork that makes this operation possible. I am particularly proud of our discipline related to operational security, something that was of great concern to the President, the Secretary, General Kurilla, and me, and we will continue to focus on it.
I don't want to snag from his, like, his chat or whatever, because then people could get confused. So. Fox, there's something wrong with your audio, guys.
Tell me, was there a particular moment when the president decided to pull the trigger on this operation? Now, President is looking to pull the trigger.
I would just say, having the opportunity to witness his leadership, he was fully committed to the process. Wanted a negotiated outcome. Gave Iran every single opportunity.
I mean,
What he gave
this is what American men hope American chicks would wear, but not necessarily what they wear.
the moment in time to realize that he had to take certain action.
Topsy-turvy this morning, I guess.
They were notified after the plane survey. That was flights notified. They were immediately interactive.
Can I use your volume? Or do I have it? Can I use your remote, please?
Yeah, you have my remote. I'm sitting right there.
Oh. It's under my phone.
The battle damage assessment is ongoing, but our initial assessment, as the chairman said, is that all of our precision units struck where we wanted them to strike and had
There is a possibility that Iran, North Korea, and the other forces, such as China, will join forces to retaliate against the United States.
Well, unfortunately, because of the policies under the previous administration, we drove those countries together, and ultimately that creates a challenging environment. For this particular operation, the focus is on Iran and Iranian nuclear capabilities. That's our focus here, is to not just say that they can't have, but President Trump has said from over 20 years, frankly, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And ultimately, he decided this is the moment, given their stonewalling, when direct military action had to be taken to prevent that from happening. Yes?
Thank you very much. General Kane, I understand OPSEC, I respect OPSEC. Can you say at all what security procedures are being taken to protect U.S. troops in Iraq and elsewhere in the Middle East? And Secretary Hegseth, as a global war on terrorism veteran, what do you say to veterans who may be concerned the U.S. is getting into another open-ended war in the Middle East over weapons of mass destruction?
Thanks, sir, for the question. I won't comment on what force protection measures are being taken in the region. What I will say is we're being proactive and not reactive. and being very thoughtful about ensuring that we do all that we can to protect our forces out there.
And I would just say, as the president has directed and made clear, this is most certainly not open-ended. It doesn't mean it limits our ability to respond. We will respond if necessary. The most powerful military in the world is postured and prepared to defend our people. But what the president gave us, as I said, was a focused, powerful, and clear mission on the destruction of Iranian nuclear capabilities. Those were the targets. That's what was struck. That's what was overwhelming. That's what was overwhelming. That's what the Iranian regime needs to understand, as the president put out last night. He wants peace. There needs to be a negotiated settlement here. We ultimately demonstrated that Iran cannot have a nuclear capability. That is a very clear mission set on this operation. Yes, hold on. Yes, right there.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Question for the Secretary and the Chairman. How was this strike coordinated with the Israelis on a strategic level, militarily, and on a tactical level? Was there any direct Israeli military participation in this operation?
Well, I would say certainly Israel had an incredible military success, especially at the beginning and ongoing, in degrading Iranian capabilities, in degrading Iranian launchers, MRBMs. It's been incredible to watch what our ally Israel has been able to do. And there certainly have been conversations. I mean, General Kurilla at CENTCOM has worked closely in the defense of Israel for many years. And part of this operation was the defense of Israel and the ongoing defense of Israel. But as it pertains to this strike, this was U.S. operated and U.S. led.
We took advantage of some of the preparatory work that's been done over the past week and a half in terms of axis of approach. I won't get into the particulars, but as the Secretary said, it was a U.S. strike. We made sure we were not in the same piece of airspace and sky. Aside from that, that was the extent of it.
We'll take a couple more. Yeah, right there.
Question to the Secretary first. Are you concerned whatsoever now about the reaction from U.S. allies given the strike, particularly those in the Gulf? And to the Chairman, if I may, I understand you don't want to speak to specific assets and force protection measures, but do you anticipate at least having to bring in any further assets from other theaters to aid in force protection over the coming days?
We certainly understand the challenges of allies in the region, and we have been respectful and in working in collaboration with them as it pertains to basing and sensitivities there. Ultimately, they've got a lot of assets and people in those locations also where American troops are co-located. So that's a consideration of ours. We've been in close consultation with them, and we appreciate the support that we have got.
Thanks for the question on sort of the global picture. And as you know, that's one of my jobs, is to look globally at the entire range of challenges. We are always carefully considering our force posture around the world, and then offering options to the Secretary and to the President. I won't comment on any future things, but the American people should know that we carefully consider those moves around the world and try to modulate as needed our force structure in the region.
Absolutely. Yeah, right here.
Thank you. What communications are being sent to the Iranians right now, and is there any possibility of diplomacy now or in the coming days?
I can only confirm that there are both public and private messages being directly delivered to the Iranians in multiple channels, giving them every opportunity to come to the table. They understand precisely what the American position is, precisely what steps they can take to allow for peace, and we hope they do so. Yes.
The president may not want an open-ended conflict. The Iranians may disagree. Are you prepared for a protracted war?
Well, anything can happen in conflict. We acknowledge that. But the scope of this was intentionally limited. That's the message that we're sending. With the capabilities of the American military, nearly unlimited. So Iran, in that sense, has a choice. But we've made it very clear to them, this is nuclear sites, this is nuclear capabilities, this is the line that the president set, and we set that back. Now is the time to come forward for peace. But I think one of the takeaways from this as well is the unprecedented level of ongoing cooperation. I can't speak highly enough of the chairman and his staff and General Kurilla in CENTCOM, what they've done to look around the corner, to pre-position, to understand how an operation like this comes together, the scope and scale of what occurred last night would take the breath away of almost any American if you had an opportunity to watch it in real time. And I think Tehran is certainly calculating the reality that planes flew from the middle of America in Missouri overnight, completely undetected over 3 of their most highly sensitive sites, and we were able to destroy nuclear capabilities, and our boys in those bombers are on their way home right now. We believe that'll have a clear psychological impact on how they view the future, and we certainly hope they take the path of negotiated peace. But I could not be more proud of how this building operated, of the precision, the sensitivity, and the professionalism of the troops involved in this effort. I will take one more. We'll take one more question. Yes, right there.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Concerning the justification for these strikes, in March, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released their threat assessment, concluding, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear programs he suspended in 2003, unquote. So what new intelligence does the U.S. have since then that the Iranians have changed their position on nuclear weapons? And does this new intelligence come from U.S. sources and methods, or are we getting this information from other countries?
Well, I would just simply say that the president's made it very clear. He's looked at all of this, all of the intelligence, all of the information, and come to the conclusion that the Iranian nuclear program is a threat, and was willing to take this precision operation to neutralize that threat in order to advance American national interests, reduce the Iranian nuclear program, and obviously collective self-defense of ourselves and our allies. So he looked at all of it, understood the nature of the threat, and took bold action I think the American people would expect in a commander-in-chief. That's all we've got. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, do you have any of the WC-135s up to check for radioactive material in the atmosphere?
Well, that's the end of that press briefing. Really, kind of a nothing burger of a press briefing. I was hoping for something a little bit more substantive. Look, Iran fucked around, they found out, okay? They're sitting there trying to deny that they fucked around, or, well, they're not denying that they fucked around. They're denying that they found out by saying there's no damage, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, okay, buddy, you keep it up. Yep. Saw that one coming. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, to be fair, if we're talking about Iran and Israel, this is just another day in the office for them. I'm sorry to say it, but, like, war, airstrikes, they're gonna posh off that it's this terrible fucking thing because they have to. But here's the deal. It's literally just another day. Okay,
Only the AI duck will be done by me.
When Prophet Moses led the Israelites and they set off,
What do you guys think the odds are that there's something in here that's Aeon?
that when they got close enough to be seen, the Israelites were afraid. And then some said to Moses, now we are caught. Now they will catch us. We are doomed. Moses replied, never. Such a thing will never happen. Why? Because God is with me. My Lord is with me. Never. Indeed, my Lord is with me. With 10 times America's power, this force accompanied by God will prevail over them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they actually believe their own bullshit.
Despite
And that's AI.
victory belongs to none but Allah.
Alright, I'll explain how you can tell it's AI. Look at his shirt, look at his beard, look at him in comparison to each other.
The mighty, the wise, and the Almighty God will surely make the Iranian nation and the truth victorious. God willing, peace be upon you, and the mercy of God, my Lord, is with me. The
It's his god montage.
Yeah, no, pure artificial intelligence. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I think he's fucking dead. I legitimately think he was probably at one of the fucking nuclear sites that we bombed and was probably standing right next to a bunker buster when it went off. And they're having to use artificial intelligence because they have no idea where he is. They probably can't even find his corpse. Straight up. I don't fucking care, Viva. I don't care which one of those neocon scumbags approves or disapproves. They're kind of irrelevant at this point, don't you think? Cool, so then the rest of the nations in the nuclear non-proliferation treaty can all gang up on you and take you off the map. Awesome.
Oh, it's a deer.
Yep. A deer in Nara, Japan. Politely waiting for traffic to stop before crossing. Aww.
That is just so adorable.
Unfortunately, here in the States, we just run them over. I don't like that, but... Number one, I like alright, don't mistake me for being some vegan tree hugger. I love deer meat. Like, venison is the most amazing meat on the planet, in my opinion. Second only to moose. I see that. Second only to moose meat, but like... You're damaging the fuck out of your car. All you had to do was slow down and stop. Come to a stop. What? Do I get a fuzzy visitor? Dude, I get a fuzzy visitor.
Mom told me to go see you.
Yep. Yemen's Houthis have declared that Trump must bear the consequences for striking Iran. Well, good thing what you have to say doesn't fucking matter. You're literally like a tick on an elephant's ass. So, you know, get fucked. This is not official. This is you just running your mouth because you have nothing better to do. Now you need to do one of Russia sitting next to this dog too. Sorry, I'm more willing to trust the intel of Oh, you did? No way. Yup, that makes sense. Oh. Konami in Japan just dropped the OCG Forbidden Unlimited list. Okay, well, I mean, that's distraction material. I'll cover that later. Maybe. Well, as it turns out, actually, Preston was right. It was a distraction. Well, then they're going to have to prepare to lose their assholes on the open stage, so, you know, get fucked, nerds. Because we let them. Literally, the only reason North Korea has a nuke is because the U.S. let them have it. Whatever. This is old footage from a Bernie rally from last year. You know, I'm so sure that this is from a fucking Bernie Sanders rally from last year that, I'm just gonna preemptively request a community note. Interesting. Well, Iran's destiny in the Bible is literally to fall, 100%. If you actually read the fucking book. Of course it got denied. I don't even think people know how to work on those things anymore. The Model T Ford. Alright, we'll see if there's anything new news. Yeah, they literally are just trying to score quick political points. It's not going to get them anywhere, though. No more Iran. Well, correction. No more Islamic-controlled Iran. Meaning no more Iran controlled by the Islamic Arab Republic. So.
I
want to bring in Mark Dubowitz if I can here, because it's interesting. Yesterday, Mark, you had the Ayatollah Khamenei saying that there would be no surrender, period, was not going to do it. And I'm wondering if that feeling has changed. I'm wondering what the next step is, what tomorrow brings diplomatically in your mind. Do you
think it takes a few days before there's any type of response, Mark, or do you think this is something that is already kind of fomenting in Iran as we speak?
Who doesn't have his
leader, who with the Iranian president at the time, Rafsanjani, went to Ayatollah Khomeini in the Iran-Iraq war. They fought a brutal war with Iraq, 8 years, 1 million Iranians and Iraqis had been killed. The United States accidentally shot down a Iranian civilian passenger airline and promised compensation, apologized. But Khamenei and Rafsanjani went to Khomeini and said, the United States is about to intervene militarily on behalf of the Iraqis. We have to sue for peace. And they told Khomeini, who famously said, I drank the poison chalice, and he agreed to a ceasefire. Well, that was Khamenei 40 years ago. Khamenei today is in a bunker. And the United States has just intervened militarily, not accidentally, but intentionally. And he's got to be asking himself, do I drink the poison chalice? Do I go back to Amman with my diplomats and agree to the peaceful deal that President Trump has repeatedly offered me? Or am I going to fight my last stand? And I think President Trump made it very clear tonight. Actually, have to say it surprised me that this isn't just about the nuclear sites, that if you escalate and you don't go back to a peaceful agreement, we are going to use the U.S. military to go after other military and security targets. So Khamenei is facing a choice between his survival and his nuclear program. He's saw the nuclear program get almost obliterated tonight. He's got to be asking himself about his survival.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling.
Man, I hate the way YouTube does this. Let's see.
Just now. Congressman, thanks for being here. And this is a really important topic because you've got awful theater happening in Congress on the one hand, and you've got the delivery of campaign promises that a vast majority of America agrees with, which is get dangerous illegal migrants off the streets. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the majority of America, the mass majority of America, in fact, gave President Trump an edict to get all of these illegal immigrants out of our country. And Dagan, you're right. Where were all these tears of the illegal immigrants murdering American citizens? All of the hundreds of thousands of Americans who have died from fentanyl overdoses, the known terrorists that have come into our country, the rapists, the murderers. Where are the tears for this? This is all theater for them to try to get press for this. If you're a United States Senator, if you want to talk to a secretary, pick up the phone and call her instead of barging into a press conference where you were not invited, they don't know you're going to be there, and forcing yourself towards the podium. Obviously, law enforcement are deemed to protect the secretary and don't know who this guy is, and he's yelling and screaming. So they did absolutely what they were supposed to do. And again, Democrats are making this a political thing to try to score quick points, I guess, but the majority of
Americans are actually seeing right through that bullshit. It's being revealed in the polling. I can't believe that I'm actually relying on fucking polls here, but yeah. Alright, so to be clear, when it's just one poll, it's kind of a whatever, one-off. You can go yourself in a corner because I don't know their polling methodologies. As far as I know, they got a lot of people with the same opinion in the same room and just polled them all. But when you have 12, 13 different polling organizations, all with different polling methodologies telling you the same thing, yeah. Like, especially considering that they come from different locations, they poll different locations, they poll different subsets of the American culture, they have completely different polling question methodologies. When all these things coalesce into the same answer, you kinda got no choice but to go with it until something major comes along to prove it wrong. And by major, I mean like massive polling fraud or something like that. Okay, let's see. Could. They did. Not so much. Okay. This is going to go to the gaming crowd for a little bit, but hear me out. In Mercenaries 1 and Mercenaries 2, you can call in strike packages. So just as a question, if I'm in, and this is the hypothetical here, if I'm playing Mercenaries 2 as Matthias, who got shot in the ass at the beginning of the game, and all three mercenary characters do, Matthias is just my favorite, and he decides to go to war with Venezuela, which is basically what the whole game is about. This is the question. If you provide a strike package to someone who's at war with someone else, are you in fact joining the war or just providing a strike package? That's the big, like, political question right now. Because to me, we didn't put boots on the ground. We're not invading Iran. We did precision airstrikes on certain specific targets and walked away. Kind of like flexing on Iran, saying, do you really want to go here? Because the reality is, we could have turned them into a fucking parking lot. 100%. We could have opened up a Buc-ee's, a Casey's, maybe a Walmart. Ooh, a Bass Pro Shop probably would be killer over there. But no pun intended. Actually, if Iran was more embracive of Western culture and we were to do stuff like that, and it wasn't such a violent place, I'd probably go visit, at least. Like, to be honest, they have national parks over there. I'm not kidding. The top three that the AI mentions is Golistan, Kavir, and Tandura. Oh, Lar. I mean, Iran is actually a really beautiful place outside of, the deserts and the war. And really, it really doesn't deserve to be treated this way by the Islamic terror regimes or the West or anyone else. In reality, this whole thing needs to come to a fucking stop. And really, in my opinion, the only way that's going to happen is if you have, I'm not going to say democracy, because democracy so many times, direct democracy, leads to dictatorships, but a representative Republic of Iran would not be a bad idea. Some kind of democratically elected republic similar to what we have here in the States, actually. Just divide it up into little regions, call it not the United States of Iran, but the United Counties of Iran or something like that, and just elect individuals who come together as a council to confer with your main guy, whoever's in charge after Khomeini gets schwacked. And then put in some sort of court judicial system that's similar to our Supreme Court. I would argue keep it down to 3 members so far, and just have them decide what should be considered ethical or not ethical for your society. Because to be honest, it's worked for us here in the US okay. It might not work everywhere the same way because of differences in ideologies and yada yada yada, but I feel like if you isolate off the representative areas, and I know that sounds like It sounds an awful lot like segregation, but if you just allow for the free travel between places and allow people to defend themselves, you literally... Oh, and free speech, obviously. That's kind of free speech, freedom of religion. Those are like the core... I feel like those are kind of the core tenets to U.S. life. I used to include freedom of the press, but let's be honest, American press is just propaganda arms for political parties at this point. Openly gonna say that Fox is basically the Republican neocon fucking news network. Pretty much. Well, used to be. Look, the reality of the situation is actually a little bit more simple, but also more complicated than people have made it out to be. On the news angle, it's simple. We bombed the shit out of Iran's nuclear areas. We touched them in places they didn't want to be touched, okay? After they've been touching kids and goats in places that shouldn't have been touched for fucking decades because of their Islamic terror regime forcing them to do so. You know, sick fucks. Anyway, before anyone says anything about the Talmud, I don't read the Talmud. I read the Bible, the King James Version, and that's what I'll stick with. There is very little connection between the two. They're actually two separate documents entirely. The Talmud is what your Ashkenazi Jews would read, and believe me, I'm not so sure they're the origin point for the Antichrist, but they're close enough. They're the ones that basically worship Lucifer, more or less, and will not be tolerated, but I don't know if Bibi Netanyahu is of that lineage. I'm pretty sure he's of other lineage. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome, baby.
Here with more details from tonight's very critical strike, along with what we can expect moving forward. Jennifer Griffin, she is in the Pentagon tonight. Jennifer, what's amazing about this, and I did have an opportunity just minutes before coming on the air to speak to the president. We had initially discussed, both of us this week, that it would probably take at the Fordo facility as many as 2 bunker buster bombs. I can confirm it was 6 bunker buster bombs that were used in that one, on that one fortified, deeply buried inside that mountain site, the one that everybody worked.
In the U.S. military, when you use a thing, you have to replace it. That's going to get a little expensive, and here's why. Yeah, $2 billion. So we just spent close to $14 to $16 billion just to make a problem go away. Oh, that's for the bomber. 500 million. Okay. According to the New York Post. I don't know, I was kind of hoping to get like a $180 million according to Grok. So let's see here. 180 according to Grok. New York Post is saying 500 mil. So if we estimate at about 200 mil times, let's see, 6 on that one location. So that's what, about $1.2 billion? Yeah, we spent roughly over $1 billion just to make a problem go away. Think about that for a minute. If the government thought it was worth 12 something billion dollars or $1.2 billion to deal with, then given the government's propensity to not want to spend money on anything other than themselves, it must have been pretty worth it.
Worried about the one that Israel was not going to be capable of taking out unless they went nuclear.
Well, that's right, Sean, and it's very interesting that the president shared with you that 6 of those MOP, massive ordnance penetrator, the 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs, were used on Fordo. That would mean that you would have had at least 3 B-2 bombers dropping those, because each of the B-2s can carry 2 of those MOP bombs. Based on my assessment and what I know about Fordo, there are 2 entrances to Fordo, so you may have had 2 bunker busters in each of the entrances. The way they work, as we've discussed in the past, Sean, is that one of the MOP bombs drops in and can penetrate about 200 feet underground. It makes about a 25-foot radius hole into the ground, and then the second bomb, dropped from the B-2 bomber, will penetrate that exact spot and go even further. And Fordo, as we know, is about 300 feet underground. I suspect that the 3rd spot that was hit at Fordo, based on the structure of that facility, that underground nuclear facility in the mountain there, is a ventilation shaft that is very prominent. And if you drop 2 bunker buster bombs of those MOP 30,000-pound bombs through the ventilation shaft, that would be another way to reach deep underground and to ensure that you destroyed that facility 300 feet underground. I think it's also notable, Sean, that the president told you that TLAMs, or Tomahawk missiles, were used in the strike on Natanz. Natanz also has an underground facility. Those Tomahawks would have been fired, as you mentioned, from submarines that were attached to either the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier strike group or the USS Nimitz, which was newly in the region. It had steamed all the way from the Pacific, and we understand that it arrived in the CENTCOM AOR earlier today. So those Tomahawks could be fired from any number of locations from those aircraft carriers. And then you have Isfahan. Isfahan is an above-ground site, and so you could have used conventional weapons for that. There could have been the Air Force could have been involved in that, or it could have been simply those Tomahawks. Natanz has 3 underground facilities, so there would have been about 6 points of impact at Natanz. And so we'll just have to wait and see if the B-2s were involved at all in Natanz or Isfahan, but certainly the involvement of Tomahawks, U.S. naval submarines, and those incredible B-2 bombers. What's notable to me, Sean, is that this morning we woke up looking westwards because, and this was all part of the deception in terms of the operational security for this incredible mission, is that those 6 B-2 bombers that were seen by radar trackers, open source flight trackers, they were heading west towards Guam, we were told. U.S. officials confirmed to us that they were heading to Guam. It's about a 30-hour flight. If they took off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri and flew directly to Iran, it would be about 30 hours. They would not have made it in time. So it was not those B-2s that were involved in this mission. Most likely what happened is the B-2s also took off to the east. So another squadron took off from Whiteman to the east, and that's about a 15-hour trip to Iran, and they would be on their way back to the United States right now. It's a 30-hour round trip if you fly to the east, and that's where we saw that air refueling bridge that was built earlier in the week, where all those air refuelers, about 30, were sent from the United States to Europe and to the Middle East to help
Jennifer,
with those B-2s. Sean?
Let me give you a little bit more detail. I'm being told now from a reliable source that Fordo, they believe it is gone. they believe that has been wiped out. And again, we had discussed earlier in the week the possibility of not one but two bunker buster bombs. Again, 30,000-pound bombs being necessary to take out that one deeply buried facility. I can put clarification on Natanz and Esfahan, the other two facilities that you were referencing and discussing. The 30 Tomahawks from a submarine over 400 miles away took out the remainder of the sites. It was believed, the assessment was that the Israelis had taken out about 75% of those sites, so it was basically completing the mission that had begun with Israel on those other two locations, just to give you clarification.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, but truly, the fact that 30 Tomahawks were fired from the U.S. naval vessels, from those submarines, again, this just shows the strength and the ability and the precision of the U.S. military. And there's no doubt tonight, in my mind, Sean, that President Xi in Beijing and President Putin in Moscow are taking note of the U.S. military capabilities and what Israel has been able, tiny Israel has been able to accomplish in the last 10 days. So this is really a very, very significant night in terms of what the mission accomplished. But as we have discussed, what comes next? And the U.S. military is warning its personnel across the Middle East. There are 40,000 troops across the Middle East at bases in Syria, Iraq, as well as in the Gulf states. And they are now on high alert, expecting some sort of response from Iran. Now, if Iran were smart, and it's not clear that they are, they would not respond, and they would then try to negotiate in order to save their regime.
Well, the problem with your theory there is that Iran is one of those problems. And it's a problem that actually previous generations of president in the United States created, mostly Jimmy Carter. I'm not gonna ban you or anything. I'm gonna make it so I can actually read your comments. We do have a lot of problems, but a single strike package, one and done, is a far cry from putting boots on the ground or going to war. In fact, actually, all we did was blow up some shit, and now Israel gets to clean up the fucking mess, basically. I would agree if we actually had put, like, Navy SEALs in, which was what I was advocating for, was to send in SEAL Team 6, take the fucker's head and walk the fuck away. But, this works too. This is a little bit less wet worky. This is more, explosive and more statement-y, I guess. It does work pretty much the same way. It says you can be touched, and they will be touched. Iran can just basically run its suck at this point, and that's all that they have. In fact, I'm starting to suspect that Khamenei might actually be dead already. The reason I bring that up is because on his official account, I've seen nothing but artificially intelligence-generated videos of him on Twitter. So I'm kind of wondering, like, either it's a Pakistani account that's posing as him and they're just using the AI to generate, or he's dead and someone else in the regime is trying to make it look like he's not and trying to play the nothing to see here, folks card. I would not be surprised if he was in for dough. I would not. A lot of people like that have a very high penchant for narcissism, and standing over their nuclear enrichment facility while it's getting blown up is very possible. But you're right, the U.S. does have a lot of problems too. We really do, actually. We've got riots, illegal immigration, that we're currently working on as well. I'm kind of wondering if Donald Trump is not, like, tasking a lot of this stuff under J.D. Vance because of how many issues are actually on the table right now. Excuse me. I'm kind of the opinion that the strike was a good thing, but it needs to just be just that, just the strike. and everything else from us just needs to be defensive. I'm not above saying strike packages, right? And the U.S., absolutely, we can afford to send strike packages all over the world for any reason whatsoever. In fact, it would make us probably the world's foremost mercenary organization would be the United States military. And effectively we are, but we're also kind of blended in with a police force. And when you have... it's one thing when he says death to America, but when he says death to Israel, one of our chief allies, unfortunately, Bibi Netanyahu heads that fucking end of things. I hate him. Like, you'll never understand how much I hate him. At the end of the day, if we're just offering strike packages, not putting soldiers on the ground, it's not very different than playing Mercenaries 2. And instead of playing Matthias, you're playing the operator who's sending in strike packages. That's really all that we're doing. We do have bases in the area, but at this point, Israel kind of has the Islamic Terror Republic of Iran on the ropes, and the Iranian people can actually stand up and say enough is enough. We've had enough war. We've had enough Islamic terror rule. You know, they can do their own thing. We're not doing the nation building. Israel is. That's the important thing to remember. It's Israel and Iran this time, not the United States. And that's important because every time we've tried it, well, I mean, look at history. It'll tell you all you need to know. It's failed so many times. That's why I'm with Trump on the airstrikes, but the second we have these neocons, which, by the way, Lindsey Graham, totally out there doing the same shit, I'm for decapitating the leadership of the Islamic terror regimes 100%. What I am not supportive of is playing kingmaker, meaning that we're going to side with one side or the other. I'm just saying we just have to decapitate until we get the right news channel, so to speak. Like flipping the remote until we find the right cartoon to watch for the Saturday morning cartoons. I know that sounds rather flippant, but it's kind of accurate. Like, you're going to play ball eventually, or you're going to run out of leadership. That's my take on it. Is it massively destabilizing? Absolutely. Is it going to cause the area to go fucking insane? Oh, most definitely. Do I really give a shit? No, because it's on the other side of the fucking planet. You know. And yes, I can afford to be that flippant. Plain and simple. And I'm also going to call out the Democrats on this one. Every single Democrat, after this statement was put out, after this fucking statement, has done nothing but basically copy-paste the statement. Yeah, tell that to Obama. But as far as us quote unquote fighting wars for Israel, no, our goals were not to fight for Israel. Taking out the nuke was our own goal. Everything else on the way out is kind of just a middle finger. It's more of a, we blew up your fancy toy that was dangerous to the neighborhood, build it again, and, well, what we did on the way out will be about 30 times worse if you try it again. That's all that it was. It was basically, if we're being honest, it's America committing an act of legitimized terrorism in order to tell them to stop trying to build nukes to give terrorist organizations. That's basically what it is. Oh, I don't care. Well, you're in for a fucking surprise. Hezbollah is about to find out. So. I hate how that's spelled. I know. That's why we have spell check, baby. Not sure what Congress's role is at this point. Congress's role is to control the budget and apparently to maintain some of the lowest approval ratings of any political organization ever. Except for the Democrat Party, who miraculously found a way to go lower recently. So.
Well, we actually know how they managed that.
Oh, yeah. Well, apparently declaring that men can be in women's sports is not a popular...
Men are born differently than women. Most men are typically taller, beefier, and in some cases, yes, they are stronger than women. So putting them in a woman's sport just means that they're not manly enough for a men's sport. Which is, like, why? If you want to join a sport, don't go pro. Just, if it's basketball, street ball. Or just go batting cages or play soccer with your friends. Don't join a woman's sport just because you're not manly enough to join the men's sports.
Well, see, that's why I think... Alright, here's my hot take on that. I think that this whole transgender thing is bullshit, and it's gender dysphoria, and people are trying to amplify it off as something that it's not. That's my hot take, right? Well, that's my hot take on the transgender issue anyway. My hot take on sports is this. I think that, like with wrestling and boxing, you need to have weight class differences. So, like, smaller men can compete with smaller men, bigger men can compete with bigger men, smaller women can compete with, you know, divide it up a little bit more, and you'll have a more even playing field for people to see who's actually better within their own weight class. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't fight. I grab the nearest weapon I can and kill. I've never been one for fighting. Okay, my idea of a fight is a harshly worded statement that says don't, basically. And after that don't, after I say it enough times and people proceed to cross the red line to the point of being physically violent, then they fucked around, they're gonna find out, just like Iran just did last night. But if you're actually talking about straight up fighting, okay, it's simple. What's your weight? What's your height? What's your body fat? Well, maybe your body fat doesn't really matter so much, right? Because, like, if you're severely out of shape to the point that you're like 5'9" and 300 pounds, you're probably not going to be going up against any fighter anywhere. You're probably going to be hitting the treadmill. To be fair, but at the same token, it's like, okay, you have a football team that's fine, and they're the best athletes that you have because they're the biggest and strongest, right? But at the same token, what about the guys who want to have their own football teams that aren't necessarily 250 pounds, 6'9", and all this other bullshit, you know? It just, there's a certain degree, I feel, of separation that should happen to make it easier for people to compete in competitive sports. And I feel that way because I like the idea of competing in sports better than watching sports. If you're going to tell me I have to... I think Terry's here. If you're going to tell me that I have... Baby, I think Terry's here.
Oh.
If you're going to sit there and tell me that I have to watch someone play sports ball, I'm going to tell you to go shove it, and I'm going to want to go play sports ball. And what did I just hear? It sounded... Alright, it must have been something falling on the porch or something, because I heard something.
It's possible. But no, Terry is not here.
That's a mistake. They'll be destroyed en route. Yeah, that's true. I really hate relying on Grok so much. Yeah, disinfect that boot ASAP is right. Jesus. Ugh. Man, you have the worst name ever. And also, you have the face of the Joker, so maybe you should step down. Yeah. Oh, I bully him on the regular. I fucking can't. I despise him. Like, as a person. He's a fucking security risk. Offering up a strike package is not declaring war, you dumbasses. Well, he wasn't going to get it anyway, so fuck it. Who cares? Wow. I bet you feel fucking special. Yes, please. I could use something a little bit more intensive than that, but that would require caffeine. I was just saying I could use something a little bit more intensive than that, but
Well, you shouldn't have drank that other one yesterday.
yeah, well, I needed it yesterday, apparently. I just didn't realize it when I drank it.
That you would need it later?
Yeah.
Instead of when you drank
Oh,
it.
no. See, I drank it at just the right time. Because I ended up staying up until midnight covering the friggin' strike package that we just delivered on friggin' Iran's doorstep.
No, I was talking about what you drank that morning.
Yeah. That led through the whole day.
Seriously? It lasted you the whole day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I had other things to supplement it with, like the Mountain Dew. Today is going to be an interesting task, though. I don't have any of it. I'll fucking cry more, you whiny little bitch. That ratio is not looking good in your favor, my dude. 10k likes to 114k views. That means most of the world don't give a shit. Touch one of their boats, it'll be treated the same as touching an American boat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No one gives a shit. You lost in the last election, and you're probably going to lose in the midterms too. Pretty strong chance of that still, actually. So, yeah. Isn't that fun? Yeah, these are all talking heads repeating the same fucking lines over and over again. No, the bear clip. Baby, did you see this bear clip before?
No. Did that bear just smack him?
No, he's getting told to leave because he's not invited.
Yeah, but did the bear
Just
just
watch,
smack
just watch. They're fucking intelligent, apparently.
Yeah, but did the bear seriously smack him before it left?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
No, you're just mad because they're posting something that's fucking accurate. How did we get here? Hillary Clinton supplied Iran with uranium to enrich their nuclear program. Barack Obama gave Iran 1.7 billion that they used to fund their nuclear program. Joe Biden unfroze over 17 billion of funds for Iran. So don't even blame Trump for this. Yeah, no, that's accurate. So, alright, can we get something that's maybe... No, that's more on, let me guess, more copy paste. Man, Democrats really don't have an original thought in their fucking head. Yeah, and not a one of them will hit because the defenses around those fucking bases are actually quite interesting. I think this is just about the right level of complexity on this fucking issue, to be honest. And it's as far as it needs to go. So, and that's another thing too. You also have the AUMF to consider. Don't care what the odds makers say. You think they're gonna listen? They just watch you get anally pounded on national television by the U.S. Air Force. No, I'm pretty sure that this is over. See, as much as these guys are dedicated to your fucking cause, a lot of them are also your quote-unquote higher-up managers of your subsidiary terror organizations who actually want to live long enough to enjoy the money that they've made from killing Americans over the decades. I.e., they want to live at least a little bit longer. So, I doubt it. If it is, it'll be sparse here and there. More akin to a gang fight than an actual war. I doubt it. Actually, there are only 4 nation states that would not be willing to remove their nuclear weapons. That's Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran if they ever got it. The rest of the world is ready to see the nuclear age go bye-bye as far as weapons are concerned. To be honest. And I'm not speaking about the government friggin' morons who think that nuclear saber rattling is the only way to negotiate. Those people are brain dead. Generally speaking, they have no original thoughts. The first original thought and only original thought they probably ever had was wiping their own backside when they were kids. So, put another way, the best part of them ran down the crack of their mama's ass and onto a mattress and ended up as a brown stain. So, you know. Hey, whatever the rest of the world wants to do, the rest of the world can do. That's not our fucking problem. If Britain wants to go in and totally ram it to Iran, all we did was get rid of their nuclear capabilities. The rest of the world can clean it up. It's kind of a situation where we took the head off of the snake. Someone else gets to skin it and cook it. That's basically what this is going to boil down to. Oh, that's pretty cool looking. Hey, baby. It's an antique vending machine. Baby. Hey. It's an antique vending machine.
Cool.
I bet most people have never seen a vending machine like this before.
I know. You always do that to me. Always. But ain't that something?
Yeah.
It even has a bottle.
That is so cool.
Thank you for the timeline cleanse, Phil. Alright, just one more. Just one more. Let's see. Who's a big name? Ah. Alright, that should have been enough time for some more of the news organizations to finally fucking catch up on a weekend.
Maybe.
You would hope.
Hey, that's the Pentagon briefing one.
Yeah, I already did that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't really... No offense to Ludlow, but Cudlow, sorry. I don't really care.
Too much Jurassic Park lately.
I guess so. Now this is interesting.
Here with us now, our panel, Rabbi Chaim Mentz, Fox News contributor Kyron Skinner, and Aaron Cohen, Israeli Special Operations veteran. Aaron, let me come to you first. We heard President Trump there describe this as an attack against what is and has been the world's biggest state sponsor of terror. It seems impossible for, and I'm sure people will try, but it's impossible to argue any case against that. They have been, for decades now, the Iranians, the biggest state sponsor of terror in the world.
That's right, and they should have been designated a terrorist organization 39 years ago. Trump is spot on. He was spot on with his attack on Fordow. He had the intelligence. It was actionable. He didn't wait too long. He made the decision before the threat continued to emerge, took the shot, successful operation. But I can't help but think to believe, Jonathan, with my 25 years in this business, I don't think Fordow was the end, and that's the truth. I think Fordow is the beginning, and I'll tell you why. You can bury the centrifuge when this is over, after this operation was just conducted. But you're not going to bury this regime without taking them down. And that's really where I come out with this. And I think that the real work here is just going to begin. I think it's going to be Israel taking point here. Like your other guest was saying earlier, we're going to continue doing all this work. We're going to continue hunting the leaders. We're going to continue hunting the Quds Force. We're going to continue going after the planners. We're going to continue going after the engineers. They will all be hunted, but they'll have to be removed because at the end of the day, even though you took out the weapon, it's the narcissistic, radical Islamist running that terror organization, which you set this up with, is ultimately the ones who would have pulled the trigger and used that nuclear weapon. And we have to have an honest conversation about what happens if they remain in.
Yeah.
So what's the next day look like? And I think those are the next conversations that we need to start having.
And Rabbi, talking of a regime change in Iran, we're hearing some statements from some of the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia among them, which are treading a careful line, not openly criticizing the U.S., but saying diplomacy is the only way forward. But it strikes me, and you were making this point earlier, what they say publicly might not be what they're thinking privately.
100%, because you got to realize Saudi Arabia has millions of Muslims living in their country, and they are very much in control of their country, but at the same time, they don't know who tomorrow is going to be in Iran. That's number one. Number two, you're right. What kind of regime change is going to be? There's a cancer. You can get out the missiles. You can get out the machine. But if the mindset is still that, because the Arabs love living, I shouldn't say Muslim, but these kind of people love living with time. If I didn't get you today, I'll get you 60 years from now. Such people cannot ever get into power. And that is the biggest threat for history. Thank God we took care of a Hitler. Thank God we took care of a Stalin. Thank God we took care of every single person that raises to power. But it seems like when it came to Iran, presidencies and many administrations were coddling them, saying, if you like us, you're not going to hit us. At the same time, we heard in the streets, death to America. So these types of leaders, it's not about regime change. It's more about thinking change. And that is the most important thing. These kind of people, your life will be better off if you stop thinking how I can murder everybody who doesn't think like me.
You're right.
And that's where I think is where we have to start thinking about tomorrow.
Kyron, there's been a lot of debate in the run-up to the second Trump presidency, in the first few months of the second Trump presidential term, about whether this president is and would act as an isolationist. This seems to have put that debate to bed.
I think so, and it did something else. If you think about the 21st century, the Bush administration came in with some grand plans, and then they really got mugged by history with 9/11. And they had to pivot to the global war on terror. Much that was happening in the rest of the world, although they tried to address it, they had to just focus on defeating terrorists. And they fought wars in the Middle East, perhaps the wrong ones, but they did. Donald Trump is the first U.S. president in the 21st century to develop a grand strategy that's not just about the global war on terror and not just about the Middle East. What does that mean? There are many in the new MAGA movement, the America First movement, the bipartisan elites who want to define for him what that grand strategy should be. And this moment is one in which Donald Trump has taken the reins and has defined it for himself. That he's not an isolationist, he's not an interventionist, he's a peace strategist. And I think that's what we saw in the last 24 or 48 hours.
Yeah, it's interesting how many presidencies seem to be controlled or allow themselves to be controlled by foreign policy events. It seems to be a president, as you say, determined to take control of those events.
It is, and I think some are going to be quite upset with him that they did not prevail in their perspective. I know Mark Levin was really harshly criticized by the restrainers and the isolationists. Donald Trump is his own man. I don't understand why it's so difficult for many of his advisors and many of those in the larger and emerging conservative movement think he needs guidance from them. He's reading the globe fairly well, I would say.
Is this the president the world needed at the time it needed it, Aaron?
Well, if you were to add up the amount of Americans killed, the amount of Israelis getting attacked daily, October 7th, the 1,200 kidnapped, the 1,200 murdered, the up to 250, 60 kidnapped and taken into the tunnels, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah for 20 years, while you were living in Israel and those missiles were coming over in the north, while Israel was in the southern border there at our southern Lebanon. Listen, this is the president who has essentially helped their forward operating ally Israel take down Hezbollah, and now the nuclear bully of the last 40 years. This is the president the world needed. There's no lollygagging with this guy. And like you said, he's his own man. He doesn't need advisors. He understands the global threat here, takes the shot when he needs to. He's just got certainty and moral clarity. And I think it's interesting to see him get everybody else on the run and start getting everybody in line, but for the good of the world. And you know what? There's going to be this opposition and whatnot, but we don't have the luxury to deal with this nonsense with the other side right now. Like I'm into it, and I like where it's going, and I'm interested to see where it's going to continue to go.
Interesting description of Israel as a forward operating ally. I'm going to get the rabbi's views on that a little bit later in the show. We've got to run now, Rabbi. Kyron, Aaron, thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Welcome back. Well, the fighting between Israel and Iran ramped up overnight on this day 5 of the conflict.
It would appear that we did take Iran off of the table. for once, and I can't believe it, I'm actually agreeing with Adam Kinzinger. Holy shit. Yeah, if you opposed it when Obama did it, you can oppose it now. If you're opposing it because only because Trump did it, fuck off. You're a waste of space. Yeah, there was no declaration of war even by the president. It's not a declaration of war. It's delivering a strike package. There's a difference. You can deliver a strike package without going to war with somebody. I mean, it was a little bit of a heavy-handed strike package, mind you, but that's about it. Oh, is Hassan crying over Iran? What's the matter, Hassan? Your black market goat dealer? Was he at one of those bases? Well, I guess you'll never get laid again, huh? Right? No one declared war. Just delivered a military strike. Oh, he's just butthurt because his favorite college got their funding pulled. Go cry liberal tears, because it's all that they're worth. Yeah, exactly. And Doge AI, the automated one, actually had a good point there, too.
Every time, without fail, I put a blanket over my legs.
Oh, yeah, no, he loves laying on blankets.
I know. Every time, without fail, if I put a blanket over me, he has to come lay on Mama's lap. Every time. Especially if it's the fuzzy blankets.
But Huh. Eerie flying saucer-like object. Huh. We'll have to check that one out, Tim. That's interesting. It's something that's not the whole Iran thing right now. It's definitely a refreshing pace. Already kitted out, my man. Everything from the maps to the compass to the sleeping system, the whole 9 yards. We're already ready to rock. Probably the one thing that we don't have is the stormproof matches, actually. And that's next on my purchase list, by the way. Next time we go to Walmart, I need to see if they have any of this, baby. I'm gonna go raise albino alligators for the circus in the sewer system. Albino alligators. Wow. Must be a really good book. That just looks cool.
Hello everyone, so we have satellite imaging now confirming the US strike on Fordow nuclear enrichment facility. I have two images for you. This first one shows two areas hit as shown by the orange circle. You can see 3 holes highlighted in the bottom one and 3 in the top. So these are very accurate and precise strikes by the US Air Force, landing 3 bombs each around each target area. Now the type of bomb used here penetrates deep underground before detonating. So whilst the image may not look like much damage is caused, that won't be the case because these would have penetrated deep, and if we reach the complex below, then this facility is going to be in a pretty bad way. Especially because, as this second image shows us, the strikes hit the ridgeline. This is important because this little schematic here shows what's underneath this area. So you can see that this area is the hub of the facility. This graphic video was shared by Iran Intel a few years ago, and it shows this enrichment facility. So you can see that in the area that was targeted we have the uranium storage, a pair of IR6 and then 6 IR1 cascade centrifuges, the backup power supply, and then the autoclaves. The centrifuges are the key bit here, a key part in uranium enrichment. So the US here hitting the major parts of the facility. Whether they penetrated this far remains to be seen though, as the satellite imagery only shows the surface. But American intelligence and other sources online are saying that this facility is destroyed and that the strike was successful and penetrated it. This annotated image was also shared online. It's the same image we've seen before but with a few little markings on it to show the various areas of the strike. So we have the entry points highlighted here. On the right, the land caved inwards post-strike, and at the bottom, the tunnel entrances sealed with dirt, which I will get to later, as we have satellite imagery of that. Now, I'm also going to attach a video which I prepared earlier today, showing satellite imagery from before, which is worth a look at, as it shows that Iran was trying to remove equipment from here before the strike took place, and fill up the entrance tunnels as protection. Because we now have satellite imagery of the aftermath, I figured I'll just attach that video on here, rather than use it as a video on its own. I'll play that one now. These first images are from 19th and 20th of June as shared by John Pollock on Twitter. This first image, you can see a line of logistical vehicles at the nuclear facility. 16 trucks can be seen here scattered out along a line, with other assorted vehicles and the like nearby. Zoomed in slightly on this one, you can see that most of these here appear to be open-backed trucks, and in red I've highlighted a bulldozer or similar. Now, it has been speculated online whether these were here to carry equipment out of a base, but I don't think that's the case, as I think they'd need something a bit more specialised to transport nuclear equipment than an open-backed lorry taken from the nearest construction site. These were here to likely try and build some reinforcements for the facility, which is evidenced by this image here from the 21st, showing that the entrance tunnels have been filled in with dirt. So Iran seemingly tried to use dirt to cover the entrances in preparation for the strike and make this facility better protected. Now, call me a cynic, but I don't think filling the holes in with dirt is going to do much to prevent this facility from being destroyed by a flight of B-2 bombers dropping a bunch of £30,000 bunker buster bombs. I think dirt will be even less effective than Russia's coke ties that they put on their aircraft.
Okay, I don't like spiders, but that's
shared.
Adorable.
The uploader doesn't say whether this is before or after the first video though. This one is from the 19th or 20th again, and it shows more trucks near the facility. And these ones look to be a bit more like you might expect to see, carrying equipment out of the facility. These aren't open-backed trucks and look to be a tad more specialised. Reuters said in an article released not long ago that Iran managed to remove and hide enriched uranium before the airstrike. These photos possibly show that in process, given the more specialised vehicles seen entering the facility. Now, I can't see everything important being evacuated in a couple of days. There's bound to have been some equipment, some important equipment left in here. The centrifuges, for example, can feasibly be dismantled and removed by a truck, but is tricky to do because of the base's depth and will take time, and I think it's unlikely Iran would have had enough time to do so. But Reuters does say that the enriched uranium had already been removed. Here's another satellite image showing further construction work with a variety of trucks and other vehicles. It looks like this part is where they're being loaded with dirt to fill the holes in. At the bottom is what look like could be defensive berms constructed, maybe for air defence systems. These may be new, so Iran planned to position a few S-300s here for protection. I think they know this base is going to get hit regardless, and I don't think they'd have S-300s sat on top of it. So I think these are old and the S-300s have been moved elsewhere prior to the strike. Or I guess it could be even unrelated to air defence entirely. Here's the facility's location in Iran overall. So that's it for this video. Hope you found it interesting. Now I'm going to play 2 videos from Cars for Ukraine about the ongoing fundraiser for the summit to buy vehicles for Ukraine. Thanks so much and take care everybody.
We are soldiers of the 48th Special Task Unit to operate in the Summit Combat Region. We need 4x4 vehicles for our logistics supply and performing combat operations. Therefore, we kindly ask Cars for Ukraine and to help us with purchasing, refitting and delivering these vehicles to us, and welcome YouTubers Sukhonimus, Hard Pressure and others with their esteemed communities to join this fundraising so we could carry on our combat missions that we will hear in a minute about. Glory to Ukraine! Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
We are the members of 6th Special Operations Detachment of Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, currently conducting special operations at land and sea. We require vans and pickup trucks to conduct logistics and evacuate casualties. We are asking communities of YouTube channels, the Silicon Curtain and the Fuse and other YouTubers and the people with their media to help us with the fundraiser, as well as the organization Car for Ukraine to deliver it.
Griff and Joey are at the wall. They're going to give a deep dive into the 6 30,000-pound bombs that were designed to destroy deep underground targets.
Yeah, that's right, Rachel. And, you know, as Joey and I are standing here, you can see we heard so much about Fordo, the bunker, the nuclear site that only this U.S. bomb, only U.S. airplanes could reach. Natanz, which has long been the main nuclear facility that we've heard so much about, that Israel began hitting hard. And Isfahan. Isfahan was significant, we knew, because that's where they manufactured centrifuges. That's where the scientists that were killed by the Israelis were working to enrich uranium. But we're learning now some new details this morning that actually Isfahan may have been a harder target to hit, in some ways even more so than Fordo.
Yeah, so the intel we have is that these 30,000-pound bunker busters were all used in Fordo because of the distance into the ground and going through the vents, kind of like the scene from Top Gun. But Isfahan being a place, apparently they used tomahawks and were able to get to what they needed to. I think what's important here is that we can erase all of their material wealth as far as what they've mined or what they've acquired and what they've enriched, but we can't erase the knowledge they've gained. And so you have to get as much of this as you can, because if the regime stays in power, they have the opportunity to do this all over again. And that's kind of the big issue that we're discussing this morning. What do we have?
Let's show Fordo, and we can give you a little bit of a map of what we see here. Now, on this side, you can see the building that they were going after, and there were entrances over there by where you're standing, Joey, of really the security perimeter and the way they were coming in and out. We know actually that there were, in 2 days before this strike, so 2 days ago, there were a number of trucks along that highway that may have been trying to remove something. We don't know. We're hoping to learn more about that this morning in a press conference in a few hours.
Yeah, so what they did is they targeted what we call vents. So if you're going to put something 300 feet under the ground, you have to have a way to basically have air come in and out. So you have vents, you have places where air comes in and out. And why would you bust through ground and concrete when you can bust through a hole that takes you down? And so I just want to point this out about the bomb.
Why would you bother with the surface material when you have a vent hole?
It's not 30,000 pounds of explosives. It's 5,300 pounds of net explosive weight.
I guess according to what they're saying,
20,000 pounds of steel, and that's what's used to penetrate into the ground. And it has to be designed in a certain way so that it doesn't fragment and splinter as soon as it hits something hard, like the concrete. Once you get in there, it's just a contained space. You don't need a lot of explosives to do a lot of damage. To give you a little bit of a comparison, our Moab, mother of all bombs, that's around 18,000 pounds.
Apparently, one of the bunker busters found its way through a vent hole and
just as
didn't
much
need the extra
destruction.
bunker
Bottom
buster.
line, that building. That
Hey, you know what they say? That's a
we
taxpayer
believe,
discount.
according
We
to
didn't
President
have to
Trump,
use
they
one
have
of
been
them.
obliterated.
Yeah.
The objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop
We
to
watched
the
this
nuclear
last night.
threat
No offense, Mr.
posed
Trump,
by the
but-
world's #1 state sponsor of terror.
What an odd thing to say. But no, offering off a strike package is not the same as declaring war. And it's different. It's different when a terrorist organization declares war by attacking someone versus a legitimized Western country or even non-Western country declaring war. Russia, let's say Russia bombed Pearl Harbor on accident. They were just flying supplies from like Mexico or California over the Pacific to Australia, right? And they dropped a smaller sized fuel air bomb on Pearl Harbor. Now the bomb may or may not go off, right? But let's just say it did. Let's just say it took out half of the Pearl Harbor Air Force Base. There were fatalities and all this other shit. Is that an act of war? Well, no, it's a fucking accident. Okay? Now let's reverse that situation. Let's say Hawaii was let's change the paradigm a little bit. Hawaii was taken over by terrorists. They had control of Pearl Harbor and probably one of our nuclear-powered aircraft carrier as well. A highly unlikely scenario, but whatever. And let's say we didn't dare risk going in there because of human shields or whatever, and Russia says, well, we can't allow that to fucking happen, so you're gonna have to sit tight. And they acted. Is that them declaring war on us or protecting themselves? By offering a strike package or using a strike package. See, there's a whole lot of nuance to this whole war thing that people don't fucking understand. You can go deliver an offensive strike package. Like, if I see, let's say I see a gang war happening out front. There's no guns involved. And it looks like it's just a fist fight in the middle that's kind of devolved into an all-out, like, street brawl, right? And I go up to the two leaders and I smash both of their heads together, not killing them, just knocking them out. And I decide to sit them down somewhere and it catches everyone else's attention. And they're sitting there like, huh, that just happened, now what? Did I go to war or did I just use a strike package to tactically deal with a situation to get everyone to shut the fuck up for 2 seconds? These are important nuances to conflict that people don't understand. And by the way, if you have an issue with Trump, doing what he did, then you know, Yeah, no shit. When was the last time impeachment actually resulted? Oh, good God. Nixon? Maybe? When was the last time a president was, I guess, removed from office? I guess we'll just have to go with Wikipedia. I hate using them. Okay, well, obviously Bill Clinton and Donald Trump still served. Nixon didn't count because he resigned prior. Okay, I didn't realize that he'd done that. Andrew Johnson? Was he removed from office? It's probably up near the top, right? No, he served 4 years. Moved to Tennessee, slaves, Tennessee politician, blah, 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 blah. Don't care, governor of Tennessee, that's not relevant to my question. Military governor of Tennessee, vice presidency, presidency, here we go. Oh, he was the one who became president after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Okay. Bunch of stuff. Okay, so he couldn't get the two. They couldn't get the 2/3. I didn't realize that you needed the 2/3 to. Yeah, you'll never get that. Then the impeachment process is null and void. effectively. It's just a waste of time. Imagine that. I guess burning orchids had the good point. Even though I'm pretty sure he didn't mean it like that. I'm being a troll right now. Sorry, it's addictive sometimes. Quite addictive at times. Yeah, you'll notice how Obama, the Bidens, and fucking the Clintons have been keeping their mouths shut. The reason for that is that they all basically paid for Iran to be able to do this shit. So what do you want to do today?
I don't know.
It's Sunday. There's not really much we can do. We don't have much in line of funding. If we have any left.
Very little.
And I don't have much in line of funding from my end of things, unfortunately.
Not right now.
Oh, yeah, you're cute. You must await punishment. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to bother with that. That's off topic. Yeah, so I've been kind of trying to see if something new will... You say that like it's necessarily a bad thing. Alright, let me be clear. We've already been through this shit before. And I don't like reacting to Tim's content like that, but it's 13 minutes. I'm more likely to react to friggin' Nuxanor stuff, but... Oh, here we fucking go.
We want to bring in now Fox News contributor and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
And no, I don't have a problem ragging on Fox News because fuck them.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for getting up
They're not
early.
independent
If you
creators,
will,
they're
just your
multi-billion-dollar
reaction to what has transpired and to put into context for us how significant of an operation, of a moment is this?
Well, good morning. It's a very significant operation. Our military did indeed, as President Trump said, carry out an operation that there's no other country in the world could do. That's been years and years in the making, but the folks who were flying last night were brave and capable and clearly delivered on their mission, and every American should be incredibly proud of that and thankful for them. As for what resulted, the world is safer today, and you were asking earlier, what do the Gulf Arab states think this morning? I am confident that they too are safer. So this was important not only for Israel and for the Gulf Arab states, but to keep the United States of America safe as well. President Trump, I served with him for 4 years. For a decade now, he's been very clear. They're not going to get a nuclear weapon in Iran. And this is just a further manifestation of his commitment to that over a long period of time. Last night, he executed a mission that was righteous and decent and important and will keep us all safe.
Mr. Secretary, you say the world is safer today, and I understand the logic there, but I mean, I think it's reasonable to say that the service members stationed in the Middle East probably aren't safer today. Do you have any prediction on what Iran's retaliation might look like if they would target capabilities as opposed to troops or anything like that?
No, that's a good point. Look, it's always hard to put your own soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines' lives at risk. I remember when we took the Soleimani strike, we were very worried and had done a ton of work to keep folks at Al-Assad Air Base and our other facilities in the Middle East safe. I'm confident that the administration has taken those protections as well. Make no mistake about it, the Iranians could come after that, but President Trump has set the course, right? He has said, you're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and if you come after an American, we're going to wreak absolute hell on you. I think the Iranian regime is thinking through that in the same way they did after we took out General Soleimani. While we had some soldiers injured, their response was relatively weak, and they are even in a far weaker place. Their capabilities today are even far weaker than they were when we took that strike back in the first Trump administration. So I suspect they're trying to figure out what to do. I'll be very surprised if they challenge President Trump and the United States Department of Defense.
Well, I hope that you're absolutely right, Mike, because we've been told that the regime is insane and genocidal. So let's hope that they're being rational right now. One of the things that I'm concerned about is that we've had 4 years of an open border. And so one of the, we've been talking about what kind of retaliatory attacks they can make in that region. But we've had an open border and a record number of unknown and known terrorists coming across our border over the last 4 years. So what kind of implications does that have for the United States right now in terms of potential sleeper cells and attacks actually here on the homeland?
I've been talking about this risk for 4 years. It's probably even slightly heightened now. There's no doubt the Iranian regime has tried to put active agents on the ground in Europe, and Brussels, and Paris, and London, and indeed here in the United States. And you're absolutely right. We had a wide open border, intellectual capital as well, that human capital that drives the...
I really feel bad for anyone who thinks they're going to commit that kind of violence here in the U.S., because I'm pretty sure a majority of the United States citizenry is sick of this shit anyway. Stacking bodies is not out of the questions, man. Like, I'm not kidding. Did Trump do the right thing? Yes. Is it popular? No. Is it going to get him a lot of likes? Hell no. What this is all going to boil down to is a couple of questions when it comes to Iran. The big question is Khomeini even still alive? Okay, number one. You know what? The worst part of being fucking human. You don't have to like it. And sure, we should take steps to... Alright, I gotta pull this up. I can't.
No. Someone did a thing, didn't they?
CBS did a fucking thing.
When don't they do a thing? What is the thing that they did now?
Well, I gotta find it. It did the thing.
Oh, it did that thing where it scrolled up.
Yeah. A lot of me reposting this shit to people who are obviously fucking uneducated.
Apparently.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's Chucky Schumer.
What?
I was just saying Chuckles. I was making sure I grabbed the right tab. I don't want the actual page. This is a crock of shit. We all know the risks. The fuck over it. Oh, how cute. Oh, you're gonna do that, huh? I'm gonna have to do a timeline cleanse after this, but yep. And that's what it was all about, right there. Is there any actual, like, proof to back this up, or are they just running their sucks again? Yeah, no, the United Arab Emirates are gonna friggin' decimate them. That's not gonna go over well. Yeah, we have more military bases surrounding Iran than McDonald's has friggin' restaurants in fucking New England. Look at that shit.
Wait, what?
Yeah. We have more military bases surrounding Iran than McDonald's has stores in New England.
Well, wait, why did you use McDonald's as a reference?
I just happen to know that. Their little stats on that one.
Okay, fair point. But why are there so many military bases around them? They're basically surrounded.
Oh, I don't want to have to answer this because it has to do with Republicans, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah, so... Oh, he can run his fucking mouth. No one gives a shit. So... We've had military bases pretty much worldwide for a while, like after World War II. And even before World War II to some extent. The reason there's so many in that particular region of the Middle East has to do with 9/11 and the conflicts of Desert Storm. So Desert Storm made it so we put more military bases in. Well, then 9/11 happened, and instead of just going in like Donald Trump just did and taking out the fucking problem and walking the fuck away, we spent over 10 fucking years there. Yeah, courtesy of fucking George Bush and Barack Obama, pretty much. In a nutshell, yes.
And then Trump walks in and he brings the boys home.
Well, no, actually, he didn't. He brought a lot of them home, but he didn't manage to shut down everything. Because realistically speaking, you can't. When you are... God, I can't believe I have to go into this topic. The United States is the world currency, basically. We're called the petrodollar, but in reality it's not just petroleum, it's also military affairs, peacekeeping, and policing. Which is why them saying that Donald Trump declared war on a foreign nation is bullshit. All he did was deliver a strike package at the request of a nation, which is part of being the president of the United States. They can whine and bitch about it, but that's about all that they'll do. They'll never secure a 2/3 vote to impeach and remove the president of the United States. It's just not going to happen. They might be able to pass a bill to limit his wartime, his, it's not even wartime, his ability to commit to such strikes. But the reality is that that would be challenged in the Supreme Court and thrown the fuck out. So, the problem that we actually have is not that Trump did it. Trump did the right thing. And he went about it the right way. But certain people were left out, namely the Democrats, who, when you tell them something, they can't keep their mouth shut. They leak information like a fucking sieve. Especially when they feel that it would benefit them in some way. So, they would very likely, if Donald Trump had told them that what the plan was, they very likely would have leaked it to the fucking news media, or maybe even the fucking terrorists themselves, depending on who it got told to, i.e. Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib. Very well could have gone and told these fucking people themselves what was going on. Now, some in the Democrats believe that the Ayatollah regime is the legitimate regime ruling over Iran. That is in fact a lie. They are a usurping regime that removed the Shah courtesy of Jimmy Carter, who was also a severely incompetent Democrat. So that's how that happened. And he did that because he thought it was the right thing to do, because he was told to do it, basically. So, yeah. Oh, he'll have his shit revoked soon enough. That's not going to matter. We have so many naval vessels that are actually in the Persian Gulf that will just trample them on the way out. And then, it'll be open again. Yeah, and both you and Thomas Massie are going to pick and choose the information to speak that benefits your fucking cause, and you're not even going to talk about the entirety of the truth, like how both Obama, how all three of these individuals, Hillary Clinton supplying Iran with uranium for their enrichment program, Obama giving Iran $1.7 billion to use for their nuclear program, and Joe Biden unfreezing $16 billion in funds for Iran. And guess what? Guess what they used?
Our attacking another. Is that a woman or a man?
Your guess is as good as mine.
The far left has gotten so bad that people have to ask that question.
Yeah.
Why?
And yet we haven't seen shit. So, yep. See, this is the thing that the Democrats, they just don't get through their fucking heads. They want to sit on here, and it's not the surprisingly, it's not the ones that you vote for this time. It's the everyday dumbass. They're getting on here like Iran was somehow some holy fucking place. They've been the fucking pain in the Middle East's ass for the last 46 fucking years. You're probably going to be hard-pressed to find any full-on governments in the Middle East that are not run by terror regimes that are going to actively defend fucking Iran. Man, the New York Times just can't fucking help themselves with the woke bullshit. We know when a military man says our boys are coming home that includes the women too. You fucking idiots. We'll change that phrasing. Gotta dumb it down for Keithy voice so he understands what I'm saying. Yeah, John Cooper's got it right up until that last one there. Trump didn't do anything wrong. Actually, this is based in a misunderstanding of historical events. There's about 6 other names that needed to be added in there, like, let's see here. Bush, Obama, Clinton, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, fucking Jimmy Carter, Bush Sr., and who was immediately after Jimmy Carter? Oh, Jimmy Carter's on that list too. Anyway, you get the whole point. The entire presidential line from Jimmy Carter onward has been a fucking train wreck. Trump's just trying his best to clean up our fucking messes, really. That's not gonna live long. You have 5 other countries that use that fucking straight, and it's just not gonna live long. Yeah, watch him talk. Parts of his face go 2D. It's artificial intelligence. There is nothing legitimate about this broadcast. Yeah, that's a good point, Kelsey. You offer a good point. We do need a humility month. So here's what I'll do. No, because they don't have the forces to secure it. Oh. Oh, yeah. So, constructing a nuclear weapon that violates several nuclear non-proliferation treaties is not, action against the United States when you're chanting death to America. Right, Red. Sorry, but that's the most retarded take I've seen in a while. Damn it, Carly. That's a funny one. I fall in line with Alexander S. Vindman on this one, actually. Not this, though. Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I'm not saying don't ask him the necessary questions, like, you know. Bear in mind, I'm single-handedly typing. No, she would have been too drunk and said Antarctica instead. Yeah, no shit. And that's your right, but it really makes you look stupid. There is no moral high ground in opposing every war. There's no moral high ground in supporting every war. You're not supposed to oppose or support them 100%. This is retardation at its finest. This anonymous account is not anonymous, the hacker group. This is some fucker from the Democrat Party posing as them. Poser. I think you're just being a drama king, my dude. Like, straight up, I think this is just you being overly dramatic. Probably because of the time that you spent in the sandbox, but straight up. Personal opinion, I think this whole thing blows over. Iran goes back to trying to rebuild their nuclear ship, but this time Israel's going to be standing over them with a friggin' guillotine, effectively. That'll be a fucking mistake. But I want verification that he actually says this, because this, again, looks like artificial intelligence. I'm just saying it looks fake. It doesn't mean that it is. I'm actually kind of waiting for Grok on that one because it's like the third time I've seen that guy's face like that, and it looks like a computer animated it. It could just be my stuff here, but straight up looks fake. Well, we're not fighting it, really. Go ahead, cut off the Strait of Hormuz. Doesn't matter. Oh, your gas prices will go up. Dude, they account for 5% of our total fucking gas and oil. Alright, it's not that big of a deal. 5 cents. Okay. Oh, your gas prices will be $5. No, they'll be another 10 cents up. Sorry. A whopping 10 cents. Yippee. Please. For like, what, 6 months? And then we'll turn around and start manufacturing our own to replace the 5% that we get from the port of Hormuz here in the U.S.? Fuck off. Yeah, that doesn't matter. That's your opinion. And realistically, at the end of the day, your opinion doesn't fucking matter. It's your opinion versus Trump saying what happened. And you weren't there, so telling you to fuck off is kind of shrug. Oh, look. Another liberal losing his fucking shit. Not like I care. Okay, I hate to burst Miss Mad Cow's fucking bubble here, but he's the president of the United States. He obviously has access to information you fucking don't. Duh. Tell me something. When's the last time you had access to the NORAD, the full extent of the NORAD system that functions as a GPS tracking satellite with heat tracking capabilities? Oh wait, you don't? Shocker! Because you're a fucking talking head at MSNBC. You're not a general. You're not a president. You're not a vice president. You don't work in the military. You're just a talking head, just like me. The difference is you've been doing it longer, and you're really good at lying about it. So... Okay, I'm married, so technically I'm not supposed to say this. But if I'm riding on a bus or a train, I'm the third group that's going to sit there and say, hey, have you heard the good news of Jesus Christ, and would you like to go get a cup of coffee? Or tea? Because this woman looks just outright fucking miserable and exhausted. In fact, never mind the fact that I'm married for a minute. I'd offer her the cup of tea anyway, just so she could get away from the bullshit. And the first person who said one of those two lines, I'd probably punch in the fucking nuts. People need a break sometimes, you know? Jesus, even... Alright. I'm an asshole on here, I'm loving to my wife, and I'm an asshole everywhere else. But even I occasionally need a break from being the biggest asshole I possibly fucking can be, okay? Like, straight up. I get it. Hell, even this fucker probably wants to get away from politics once in a while, and probably does so by, oh, I don't know, there's probably a couple poor sheep out there that regret him taking some spare time, but allegedly... I hate to say this out loud, but yeah, that was probably part of the deal. That's fair. And that's another thing too, like with free speech. I'm anti-war, but I'm not anti-airstrike. The reason for that is that I understand that sometimes you gotta show that you're the bigger fish in the fucking pond. Iran had it in their fucking head that they were somehow a threat to the U.S., and they had to be put in their place. Happens. Dude, go back to banging Fang Fang. It's all you're good at. That and being a national security risk. You're just pissy because your woman didn't win. Don't give a shit. They're fucking... What they say doesn't matter. They have no nuclear power anymore. So... There's no verification of that. Oh no, I know he's not going to, and that's not the point. The point is that we crippled them, and now Israel's gonna go play mop-up. That was the intention. Oh, that one's going over to YouTube. Oh, someone doesn't like that I'm doing a thing.
Huh?
Oh, you can tell when people don't like that I'm doing a thing, especially YouTube, because they try to bog down your computer by making their website take up more space than it should.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Which is illegal. It constitutes hacking, which is a federal crime.
Yes, it is. So they don't like what you're doing?
Oh, no, they don't like... YouTube doesn't like me for two reasons. Number one, I multi-stream. They hate that shit because it means that they're not the only one that gets my content. Number two, they can't stand anyone using an ad blocker, and I'm not going to say whether I am or not, but because of that, they like to try to cause issues in systems that are not...
Like people who do ad blockers. They don't like the...
And they've been found to be trying to cause hardware issues for people who do use ad blockers, which is illegal because even if they are a big company and even if it is their website, they do not have the right to impede or intrude upon my system on my end at all. But I have every right to stop their ads from showing. Period. Of course I have to do the thing again. Let's see, is there one here? Now we could just load up a couple railgun packages and blow it out of there if we really wanted to, but that would require evacuating. It's really not, because it's not going to happen. And no, it doesn't. That's not on that one. Scroll down until I see it, I guess. I know this probably constitutes botting, but it's a good point, and yeah. No, that's not what it says. typing with my left hand. Actually, they do. And you're wrong on that one. I'm just gonna make this easier on myself. It was like the 5th time I had to type it. Oh, jeez. Ugh, this is starting to get boring even for me at this point. Let's see if the news has anything new. I'm just waiting to see if there's any actual news about real attacks and shit. I haven't seen or heard anything yet. They're just voting to close off the Strait of Hormuz, which 10 cents more in gas. I mean, that's kind of fucking annoying, but big deal. Until we get our own fucking gas supply up, or fuel supply up, so. Okay. Your opinion means fucking nothing. It's not your country. Okay. They just... every person involved in that just committed a felony. What? Oh, he's... Alright, look, I can't fucking stand Bernie Sanders, but he admittedly is a little too easy to... He's very pick-onable, we'll put it that way. You think white women are any better? Like, I'm sorry, but age does shit to people. Believe it or not, I didn't know he used to look like this either. I looked a lot better than I do now. A lot better. When I was in my 20s. Early 20s especially. Jesus.
In my 20s, I basically looked about the same, but in my teens, I looked way different.
Oh, bullshit. We all know he was thinking about little kids and ice cream staring out the window like that. Oh, fucking freak. You'll never get enough votes. And I'll explain why. You have a decent portion of Democrats out there who hate Trump enough to try to do it, right? The problem is that you still have Democrats who really don't like Iran and will do anything to bury that situation under the fucking rug. And you have enough neocon pro-war Republicans to where you'll have a small, odd bipartisan coalition that's going to tell you to fuck off. And it's going to be a majority, unfortunately. You're going to be looking at about a quarter to about 3/4 split in the favor of the pro-war end of the Republican Party, and the Democrats too. It's despicable, it's disgusting, but it's politics. And it's what we fomented over the last 20 years. Actually, longer than that. I think Terry might be here. Could you go check? I hear things.
You more than hear things. Gina's on the porch.
I'll just hook him up.
Look at him. Look at his legs. Give him a belly rub.
Thank you for the soda, babe. Okay.
Dead.
Do what? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh. I told Gina, but he's gonna work anyway.
Yeah. But
Gary's on the phone, Graham. He'll get
yeah, anyway, that's the situation. If y'all like the content, probably not this time. It's very political on this one this morning because of world events, and it's Sunday, and I don't usually do Sundays, so I didn't really expect much to happen. I'm going to keep an eye on national events. I don't think we're going to get much out of this one. I think them closing the friggin' Canal of Hormuz, or whatever it's called, is going to be about as far as we'll get. I think they've got the fucking point. But if you did like the content, hit the like and subscribe buttons, hit the follow buttons if you feel it. Share it amongst your friends, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, Minecraft Monday tomorrow.